Yeah, I got it. That door was originally covered, I think. Oh my fucking god! Is MADiSON the scariest game of all time? According to an article on GamingBible.com, the psychological horror game MADiSON is in fact the scariest game of all time. What's up everyone, my name is DJCS and welcome to an all new video here on my YouTube channel. In this video we're going to be diving into this article and talking about the game MADiSON, and is it really the scariest game of all time? I'm going to break down psychological horrors, the game itself, the article, and give my own thoughts and opinions on the game. But before we do that, if you are new here, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, and if you enjoy this video, go ahead and drop it a like. I would definitely appreciate that. We are getting towards the end of November here, but I still got lots of spooky games to upload, including MADiSON itself, and I'm going to start working on like Resident Evil and the Evil Within. I don't know if I'll get those out before Halloween, but if you enjoy horror games, I play a lot of them, so please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video game. And if you played MADiSON yourself, please let me know your thoughts on the game. If you think it's the scariest game of all time, if you agree with the article, if you disagree with the article, let me know that down in the comments, and let's try not to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't played the game. So first things first, what is a psychological horror game? Well, just like horror movies, horror games are broke down into subgenres in the horror category. In movies, there's slashers, supernatural, found footage, zombies, classic monsters, sci-fi, so on and so forth. There's some crossover there, like in Friday the 13th. They started introducing supernatural elements into later into the series, but it's still a slasher film. Horror games are a little different though. Horror games usually have many different elements in them and can fall under multiple subgenres. There's survival horror. It's also mostly action horror, which ranges from Resident Evil and Silent Hill to games like Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th. Essentially, any game you have to fight your way to survive. There's stealth horror, which is your Outlast, Amnesia, Hello Neighbor, where you don't have weapons and you have to sneak by enemies and run when you can. It's essentially also a subgenre of survival, subgenre of a subgenre. Then there's jump scare reaction horror, which is like your Five Nights at Freddy's, but also many other horror games that feature jump scares, which is like every horror game. Then there's psychological horror, my personal favorite. Psychological horrors can also be survival, jump scare, and stealth. But psychological horrors affect the person playing differently than games of the other subgenres. TheGamer.com defines it as a very specific type of horror focusing on the mind and the slow dread that creeps in, rather than the visceral gore and cheap jump scares. Stories of psychological horror games might often feel strange or convoluted, but they actually serve as a way to confuse the player or even make them question their own sanity. These games are often filled with complex environments and sounds that can really mess with your head and at times give people anxiety and paranoia. If you play these games on a TV with a TV sound, it may not give that effect, but when you're wearing headphones or you can't hear much else outside of the game, it can really play tricks on you. Every time there's a creak or the wind blows or something falls over in the distance. Psychological horror games are games like MADiSON, of course, also Visage, Layers of Fear, Locked Up, and many, many more. Games like Outlast, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, the Silent Hill series, and many others have used these features in their games. Like I said, there are lots of different styles in some games, but psychological horror games aren't just sound related, it's also visual. One second you're walking down a hallway to a door and the door is locked. You turn around and you're not in the hallway anymore, you're outside in the woods or a playground, or all of a sudden there's something staring back at you at the other end of the hall. Psychological horror games also lean into the jump scare reaction subgenre, as a lot of the tension that is built off using the sounds and visuals is paid off by something appearing out of nowhere. In certain games you'll get used to hearing the wind blow or boards creak that you might not expect there to be a person standing behind you when you turn around, but there might be. Now as for the game MADiSON, this game is made by Bloodiest Games, and this is their first and only game so far, but I'm sure there's going to be much more to come and possibly right around the corner. MADiSON is a first-person game where you carry around an instant camera, meaning right after you take a picture will then print out of the camera and often show you what you took a picture of or possibly reveal a secret. You'll also use it for light, to solve puzzles, get collectibles, and for protection at times. The environment of MADiSON is that of a house for the most part. Much like many other psychological horror games, the game has a lot of similarities to Visage. In fact, I think Bloodiest Games paid homage to Visage in a lot of moments. The puzzles are tricky, but easy at the same time. After you beat the game, you'll understand why they're tricky but easy. Make sure you have a notepad and pencil or something to keep notes on. You're gonna need it. You play as Luca, and as you play, you will learn quite a bit about Luca's past and his family. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to be scared by this game. Some people just don't scare easily. I normally consider myself in that category. And often people are scared, they just don't react the same way as others. Some jump out of their chairs and scream. Myself, oftentimes, I just get quiet until something actually happens and there's usually some expletives yelled. Some people also play it up for the camera. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to be scared by this game. Some people just don't scare easily. I normally consider myself in that category, but maybe not for this game. And often people are scared, they just don't react the same way as others. Some people jump out of their chair and scream. Myself, oftentimes, I just get quiet until something actually happens and then there's usually some expletives yelled. Some people also play it up for the camera. They're not really as scared as they're acting, but they're acting it up for the camera for the views. In this article, it states this game was studied by Broadband Choices. Is that really? Choices? Is that how? Broadband Choices' Science of Scare, which has been studying horror games using heart rate monitors hooked up to players since 2020, so all of 2 years. They listed their top 10 scariest games according to their test, starting with number 10, with Dead Space, which I just recently finished over on Twitch, and I didn't really consider it that scary of a game. It's essentially Resident Evil in space, and it's definitely got some moments that are spooky and kind of creepy, but I don't know if I would say it's one of the 10 scariest games of all time. At number 9 is The Forest, which I've never played. Amnesia Dark Descent comes in at number 8, and that is currently on my list of games to play. At number 7, we have Bloodborne, which I've never played. Number 6 is Resident Evil 7, which really kicked off my interest in horror games. And I thought that this game was actually really, really scary. The sound elements and stuff really kind of set the vibe for the game. And if you would like to see my playthrough of this game, there is a full playlist here on YouTube for you to check out. At number 5 is Outlast 2, which I played and planned on uploading here to YouTube. But it didn't save all the VODs, so I only have a portion of the game, unfortunately. But I did play it, and it is kind of a spooky game. I think Outlast 1 is actually scarier, though. At number 4 is Five Nights at Freddy's 4, which I've never played. Number 3 is Visage, which again I played, but didn't save all the VODs. They're only on there for so long, the VODs, and if you don't go through and create a highlight, you lose it. And unfortunately, I didn't for both Outlast 2 and Visage. Maybe one day I'll replay them. I don't really know, but Visage is a very, very spooky game. It just gets a little frustrating at times, and they even tell you that right at the beginning that it's a tough game. At number 2 is Alien Isolation, which I've heard a lot of things about. Heard about it being really spooky. Haven't played it yet. And at the top is MADiSON. Number 1, MADiSON. Like I said, there are a lot of factors in what scare people. Their experience with horror can play a big factor. If they've been playing horror games and watching horror movies since they were a kid, a horror game might not affect them as much. If they're new to the horror genre, this game might scare the shit out of them. I consider myself to be well versed in the horror realm, having watched Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street when I was like 4, but I hadn't really played any horror games until Resident Evil Biohazard, like 5 years ago. And this game scared me quite often, more than any other game, to the point of me jumping in my chair and screaming out often. I'm not ashamed to admit it. It doesn't really state in the article how many people they tested, if it's just like one person playing all these games, or if it's 10 people or 100 or whatever. It doesn't really state that in the article, I don't believe. I will leave a link for the article in the description if you guys want to check it out for yourself. But my own accounting of this game, my own opinion, my own witness my own experience with MADiSON the game. I will be uploading the video game, my own playthrough, here soon. As I've already edited it down, I just need to work on uploading it. I've got thumbnails made and all that stuff, so be looking out for that soon. Like I said, if you're new here, please subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a video. It will be in a full playlist so you guys can watch it all if you like, and then of course it'll be edited down so you don't have to watch me running around aimlessly for hours trying to find out what I'm supposed to do next. So, MADiSON. It is a very, very scary game. I'll admit it. And again, it's not going to be scary to everybody. It was definitely scary to me. The shot you saw at the beginning of this video was done later in the game. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was done later in the game. I had played the game one night streaming on Twitch, and I stopped playing because I had been doing it for a long time. I was like, all right, I'm good. We'll finish it up tomorrow. I started streaming again the next night, and that was probably half hour into the game. I was trying to figure out what I was doing, where I was going. Half hour into the game, and it scared the shit out of me. And again, I don't get scared easily. It takes quite a bit, and I was completely thrown off guard with that, not expecting it. And everybody's gonna have different experiences playing this game. People might not ever see that moment. I was watching Velma_IRL stream on Twitch, stream the game, and she kind of gets scared easily, and she was, the game was really tough for her. Another person, Cupa Psycho, was tough the game was tough for her to play. She could only play it for like an hour, 2 hours at a time because it was messing with her. And everything affects people differently. And because I was with Velma, she was running around trying to figure out what to do next, and the thing kept coming for her. I didn't experience that in my playthrough. There were times where, yeah, things were coming after me, but at that point where she was, I didn't experience anything coming after me. So, again, everybody's going to experience something different with this game, which is great, because you could watch somebody else's gameplay and not experience the same jump scares or the same moments or the same... Like, I think all the puzzles and stuff are the same. The answers and whatnot are the same. Possibly. I don't really know. I should go back and play it and see if I can open things earlier than I did before to see how that works out. But, yes, this game is very, very, very scary. Now, in comparison to a game like Visage, which to me I considered one of the scariest games I'd ever played before MADiSON, Visage is a very scary game. However, I feel like these scares get watered down the more you play and get replaced by aggravation. When you're trying to solve something, you're trying to figure out what you're supposed to do, but you're constantly being chased. And not chased in the sense of like Outlast, but you'll be walking around the house trying to figure out what to do next, and then Dolores is on you, and you have to essentially run away or get killed. And that happens constantly. At least it happened constantly to me. I'll be honest, when I played Visage, I was actually one of the second or third time I actually played the game. To get through the Dolores part, I actually read a walkthrough, and I was still getting killed, which lets the frustration and aggravation and just, I want to just get this over with. And again, it wasn't really scary anymore. It was more just a frustration and wanting to get the game done. MADiSON, on the other hand, the puzzles, as I mentioned before, are tricky because you're going to come across some puzzles in the beginning that you won't be able to solve immediately. And for me, that's kind of my OCD kind of kicks in, and I want to solve these puzzles right then and there, but I can't. You have to wait until you progress through the game and find the answers for these puzzles. They reveal a lot of puzzles to you. It's kind of like Resident Evil when you come to a door and it says this door is locked from the other side, and you don't get the key for that until you're like 3/4 of the game, and then you got to go all the way back, and you got to try to remember that, Overall, MADiSON is a very, very good game, and I would recommend any horror fan to play it because, yeah, it is that game. Yeah, and it's not, I don't want to say it's cheap jump scares. I'd say it's jump scares in the right way. Like, I feel like cheap jump scares are like Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, no disrespect to Five Nights at Freddy's. I've never played the game. I've never wanted to play the game. But I feel like that's cheap jump scares. I kind of feel like even Poppy Playtime is cheap jump scares. But this game, MADiSON, is, and it's not even always just a cheap jump scare. There was a part where something was looking around the corner at me. Like, I peeked out the door to see if something was there, and sure as fucking hell, something was there peeking around a corner right back at me. You know? And it's not always about loud, flashy noises and something jumping in your face. There are moments in this game that are just like, what the fuck? The statue constantly moving around and stuff like that. The visuals, just like I said, this game can fuck with your head. And I highly recommend people playing it. So that is going to do it for this video, guys. That is my breakdown of the MADiSON game without spoiling anything. That is my breakdown of psychological horrors. That is my breakdown of this article. So if you are new here, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload my MADiSON playthrough and other horror games that I'm playing. I'm currently, like I said, I just finished Dead Space over on Twitch. I'm going to be playing Gotham Knights, but I still have other horror games lined up before Halloween. So if you'd like to follow me on Twitch, that's twitch.tv/DJ_CE_S, spelled here. It's behind me. It's everywhere. But underscores, obviously. I'll leave a link for that down in the description. If you would like to head over there and just drop a follow and check out my next horror stream. I'm not really sure what the next horror game I'm going to be playing is, but we definitely have quite a few to play before Halloween. So head on over there, drop a follow. I greatly appreciate that. And like I said, if you're new here, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I would also appreciate that. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop it a like. And also let me know your thoughts on the article, on MADiSON the game, on psychological horrors in general, down in the comments. And as I mentioned before, let's try not to spoil anything about the game MADiSON for those who haven't played it. With all that said and done, guys, my name is DJ CS. Have a good one, guys. And as always, don't forget to tip your DJ. Later, dudes!